In this video, we're looking at working with Techsoft and Trotec laser cutters. So Trotec laser cutters have a piece of software called Process Control. When we laser cut our files, we print them to this particular piece of software. The software interprets our CAD files and then sends them to the laser cutter. And I've got two almost identical CAD files here, or CAD designs on this CAD file. And if I have a look at what actually comes out of the laser cutter, this is what we get. So on the first model here, the text doesn't appear at all, and the Lego brick, it came out better than I expected. Actually, I wanted to try and get an image which was going to be so faint it wouldn't show anything. Well, this one actually wasn't too bad. But in the second image, we've made it so that the Lego brick comes out with slightly thicker lines and the text suddenly appears. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is exploring how we do that. Now, in terms of the software that or the settings, the drivers that we have here, there's certain color codes we have to work with. So this chart gives us the color codes that we're working with here in this school. We have blue, and that's basically pure blue if you're thinking about the RGB codes. So no red, no green, and 100% blue, or 255 as an 8-bit binary number. And then we have solid green to be any engraved lines. So it's like the cut line, but we reduce the beam power and increase the beam speed so it doesn't cut through so quickly. It just burns the top surface. And then we have the fill effect, which means that we can have like raster engraving for any images. So that's what we're working with. I'm just going to come back here to our CAD file. And the issue that we have with this image here, first of all, let's have a look at the text. The text here, if I just ungroup this, the text basically is an imported bitmap. In fact, in this particular case, it's just been a screenshot from a scanned image and then pasted in, should I say. And if I zoom in on this, you can see that the line here is not a solid black line, and it's certainly got plenty of anti-aliasing happening here, which is giving this kind of like grainy edge. If you look at this version down here, it is basically a vector line, and it is absolutely solid black. So if I just look at the fill settings on this and look at the color options, that is the solid black color there. If I come to define options, you can see it's no red, no green, and no blue there. So that's why this will laser engrave and this one will not, because basically it's not solid black. If I have a look at the graphic over here and zoom in on this, maybe just click off it for a second, this actually does appear to have a solid black line. There's some anti-aliasing in here, but generally that's not an issue that's going to be ignored by the laser cutter because it's not solid black. Now be aware here that if I imported into my CAD file a slightly off black image, so it was slightly gray, again, nothing would be laser engraved. It's got to be solid black bitmap here for this to actually work. So it will engrave bitmaps if they are solid black. But what I've done down here is I've made it so that they are both vectors. So I'm making sure that whatever happens, we've definitely got solid black fills here, so they will definitely engrave. And in the process, I'm also able as well to do a little bit of thickening of the details. So I'm going to have a look at that right now. Okay, so first of all, let's have a look at the text. So I'm going to bring that text to the side there. Okay, and let's just come back to this text here. I'm going to come to the bitmap tool. I'm going to go to vectorize bitmap. I'm going to click on the text here. And what I want to do here is define this as a monochrome bitmap, and I'm going to basically convert it into vectors. Now, as soon as I do this, I get this luminance slider here, and I can use this to determine whether I want to kind of thin out the design or thicken it up. And as a rule of thumb, with thinner text, I would definitely, or thinner images, definitely thicken things up a little bit. I'm struggling there. That looks about right there. Now, I could also potentially go to custom settings if it was a high resolution image, but for the most part, I'm just going to stick with the default settings. Click on OK again, and that now means that bitmap has been converted into a vector, and I can click on this now and go to Start Edit and see that's made basically from thousands of little vectors there, and I can grab one of these nodes here basically and change the text as well. So that's actually quite interesting too. If you wanted to go and do that, you could then kind of come in and edit the text up too. So that would now work. Now let's have a look at the image here. Now I have to say with this image, I've purposefully gone with an image here for which there is a big margin around the outside, which I would like to suggest that we avoid, because that basically means I have found it's a bit randomness. Actually, on some occasions, it causes a problem with the laser cutter, and the laser cutter thinks that the actual graphic I'm laser cutting is right out here, and in other times, it actually ignores the margin and actually just cleans the CAD file up. But as a rule of thumb, the best thing to do is get rid of that margin anyway, because in terms of placing it on the image, if you have a big margin on the outside, it's definitely going to cause you some problems. So I've got the original graphic right here, which I've got off the internet. I'm going to copy that image. I'm going to come to paint.net, which is my go-to photo editing app. I'm going to basically paste this in as a new image, which is also Control Alt and V. And then now with the selection tool from the top left toolbar, I'm now going to select the image. There's different ways I can do this. There's a neater, cleaner way to do this, but I'm going to show you this quick fix. Notice here that I'm going to start off just clicking anywhere on the image, bring this across, and then I can see where the far right and bottom edges are. Then I release and then click again, and then now I bring it up to the top left. And that way I know that I've encompassed all of the brick without too much margin around the outside. Let's come to image and crop to selection. And now with this, I can get the selection tool again, Control A or select all, okay, and then Control C to copy. Let's come then back to Techsoft here, and then let's now paste that in. And instantly now, I've got a much cleaner image. If I just right click and drag that in here, I've got a much cleaner image than what I had before because I've lost all this margin around the outside, and it's much easier for me to work with. Let's bring that in there. And I could just leave it like that, and I could send it to the laser cutter, but I could also, of course, come back here to my bitmap, vectorized bitmap, and again, think about thickening the lines up there if I want to have things a little bit more solid. Okay, and that definitely now is going to laser engrave using the black fill properties of our Trotec driver.